I had always loved my childhood home. The white clapboard siding, the big oak tree in the front yard, the swing set in the backyard that my parents had promised they'd repair every summer, but never did, made it feel like a sanctuary. So when my parents announced they were going to a weekend business conference in Chicago, I happily volunteered to stay behind. "You can have the house to yourself," my dad had said with a grin. "Try not to burn it down." My mom hugged me and reminded me to lock the doors. Simple enough. Friday night started perfectly. I ordered Thai food, left the windows cracked slightly to let in the autumn air, and settled into the couch with a blanket. I had stacked horror movies on the TV. Ironic, I know, but something about being home alone always made me crave a little thrill. As the opening credits rolled, I felt that delicious, safe kind of solitude, the kind that makes a quiet house feel like a fortress. By 11 p.m., I had finished my food and was folding laundry in the living room. The house was quiet, too quiet, and I hummed to myself to keep the silence from turning oppressive. Then I heard it. A faint tap. 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 I froze. My house was old. Noises weren't unusual. Branches scraped windows, pipes creaked, and sometimes the floors groaned in the wind. But this wasn't random. It was deliberate, rhythmic, like someone was knocking. I tiptoed to the large living room window, the one that overlooked the backyard. The moonlight spilled across the swing and flower beds, painting shadows in strange, twisted shapes. My eyes scanned the yard, heart hammering. Nothing. I laughed softly at myself. "It's probably just a branch," I whispered. But the tapping came again, slow, methodical, like it was testing me. I wanted to call out, "Hello, who's there?" But my voice caught in my throat. Instead, I inched closer to the window, pressing my forehead to the glass. That's when I saw it. A figure, pale, featureless, pressed against the glass. At first, I thought it was my reflection. Then it moved, head tilting unnaturally, almost too smoothly, and those eyes, they glowed faintly in the darkness. I stumbled backward, almost tripping over the rug. My phone slipped from my hand, and I scrambled to pick it up. I called my best friend Emily, my voice trembling so badly she asked if I'd had too much wine. I couldn't speak. I just pointed at the window. She laughed nervously, thinking I was joking. I wasn't. I decided to call the police. As I dialed, the figure vanished. My backyard was empty, just my swing gently swaying in the breeze, but my gut told me it hadn't gone far. I tried to stay calm. I locked every door twice, checked every window, and sat down in the kitchen with the phone in my hand. Every small sound, the hum of the refrigerator, the rustle of leaves outside, felt amplified, threatening. 2 officers arrived, shining flashlights across the yard. "Maybe it was a raccoon or something," one said casually, though I could hear the doubt in his voice. They took notes and photos of the backyard, but found nothing unusual. "If it was a person, they'd have left footprints," the second officer said. "We'll patrol the neighborhood, but it's probably nothing." I wanted to believe them. I really did. But later that night, as I lay in bed with the lights on, I kept imagining the figure outside, standing silently, watching, waiting. Every creak in the floorboards made me flinch. Every shadow looked like a person standing in the corner. By Saturday evening, my paranoia had grown. I tried to distract myself, baking cookies, doing yoga, listening to podcasts, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Then the phone rang. The number was unknown. I hesitated, my heart racing. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Hello?" Silence. Then a whisper. "You're alone." I screamed into the phone and hung up. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't hold a cup of water. I considered calling the police again, but I knew they'd just write it off. Later, I checked the backyard again. Footprints, large, muddy prints that stopped at the window. Not small, not human-sized, huge, and they just stopped. No trail away from the house, no indication of how whoever or whatever had gotten there left. I felt trapped. Every sound, the wind, the branches, the creak of the floor, made me flinch. I couldn't stay in the living room, and I couldn't sleep. I sat in my bedroom, blanket wrapped tightly around me, listening, waiting for the inevitable. Around 2 a.m. I heard it, scratching at the windows, not tapping, scratching, deep, deliberate, like claws. My heart nearly stopped. I grabbed the kitchen knife and tiptoed to the living room. The window was fogged with someone's or something's breath. I pressed my face to the glass. Nothing. My reflection stared back at me, pale and terrified. And then I saw it, movement in the shadows behind the trees. The figure was back, pale and formless, tilting its head, standing perfectly still, staring. I dropped the knife and ran, slamming doors behind me. My phone clattered to the floor, and I scrambled to call the police. But the line was dead. My landline had never failed before, and my cell showed no signal. The figure moved closer, slowly, inexorably, emerging from the shadows of the backyard. My mind screamed to run, but every instinct froze me in place. Its glowing eyes never blinked, never wavered. I woke up at dawn on the couch, lights on, blanket tangled around me. Had I passed out from terror? I didn't remember sleeping. I walked into the backyard. The muddy footprints were still there, drying in the morning sun. I called the police again, frantic. They sent officers who took photos and noted the prints, but they found nothing else. No fingerprints, no footprints leading away. The yard looked untouched. A week later, I saw my neighbor's security camera footage. My blood ran cold. A shadowy figure moved silently around the backyard that night. It stopped at my window, stared, head tilted, just watched. I never spent another night alone in that house. My parents were sympathetic but didn't understand why I couldn't just get over it. I sold the house months later. I moved to an apartment in the city, but sometimes late at night I swear I can feel eyes on me. The scariest part? I never saw the figure's face. No mouth, no features, just a pale humanoid shape, impossibly still, impossibly calm. And I've realized something about fear. It's not the scream that terrifies you. It's the silence, the watching, the knowing that someone or something could be there and you'd never see it coming.
I always liked the quiet. My apartment in Green Bay, Wisconsin was small but comfortable. One bedroom, a tiny kitchen, and a living room with a big bay window that let in enough sunlight to make the hardwood floors shine. Most Friday nights, I'd stay in, watch Netflix, maybe order pizza. That Friday was different. My roommate, Mark, had gone on a weekend fishing trip with his brother. That meant I had the apartment entirely to myself, something I usually enjoyed, but that night it felt off. I shrugged it off at first. Maybe it was just my imagination. I made a sandwich, poured myself a beer, and settled on the couch with the TV. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant cars outside, even the ticking of the wall clock, it all felt too loud in the emptiness. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I hesitated. I rarely answer numbers I don't know, but for some reason, that night, curiosity won. "Hello," I said, trying to keep my tone casual. Silence. I frowned. "Hello?" Then a whisper. "You're alone." I froze. My hand tightened around the phone. "Who is this?" I asked, my voice steady, but adrenaline pumping. No answer, just the faint sound of breathing. Slow, deliberate, almost measured. I hung up. My first thought was prank callers. I laughed nervously, telling myself I was imagining it, but the chill running down my spine said otherwise. It didn't stop there. An hour later, the phone rang again. Same unknown number. My stomach twisted. "Hello?" I answered, trying to sound calm. "Why are you in the living room?" the voice whispered. I dropped the phone. My heart slammed in my chest. I hadn't told anyone I was home alone. Nobody knew. "Who is this? How do you know I'm here?" I shouted, panic creeping in. Click. The line went dead. I called my roommate, Mark, but no answer. I called the police non-emergency line and explained the situation. They said it was probably a prank, but promised to patrol the area. I thanked them and hung up, trying to laugh it off. But I couldn't. I double-checked the locks on my doors and windows. Everything was secure. I even checked the balcony. No one there. Yet the unease lingered, curling in my chest like smoke. By midnight, I was pacing. The phone rang again. I didn't answer. It rang a second time, then a third. I couldn't ignore it any longer. "Hello?" "Why are you hiding in the kitchen?" I nearly screamed. I had just moved from the couch to the kitchen to get a drink. How did they know? I don't know who you are," I stammered. A laugh, low, dry, and chilling. "I see you. I hear everything." The line went dead. I dropped the phone. My hands shook. I wanted to leave. Run. But I had no car. No one was around. Just me and whoever this was. I tried to convince myself it was a prank. Maybe someone had access to my apartment security cameras, but I didn't have any. I lived in a standard building with security cameras in the lobby, but nothing in the apartments themselves. I went into the bedroom and locked the door. Tried to watch TV. Tried to play a game on my laptop. But every time the phone rang, I jumped. Every unknown number made me sweat. At 2:00 a.m., it rang again. I answered, voice trembling. "Why are you hiding under the blanket?" I couldn't breathe. I was under the blanket, shaking. How did they know? I hung up, threw the phone across the room, and it clattered against the wall. I sat on the bed, hugging my knees. I couldn't stop thinking about it. Every sound, the wind tapping on the window, the hum of the heater, the creak of the floors, felt like someone moving inside the apartment. The next day, I called Mark and begged him to come home early. He laughed, thinking I was exaggerating, but the calls continued into Saturday night. By now, I had started keeping a baseball bat next to the bed, moving all the furniture so I could see the doors and windows clearly. Every shadow felt like a person. Every noise made me jump. Around 11 p.m., the phone rang again. I answered, my hands trembling. "I'm in the building," the voice whispered. "I can see your lights." I screamed. Threw the phone across the room. It hit the wall with a loud crash. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I didn't even dare look out the window. At around 1:30 a.m., I heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, coming from the hallway. My apartment was small. I knew every sound, every creak. These footsteps were new, foreign. I grabbed the bat and moved to the living room. I could see the shadow through the frosted glass of the front door. I froze. Whoever it was, they hadn't tried to break in yet. They were waiting, watching. My hands shook violently. I considered calling 911, but my phone battery was dying. I grabbed it anyway and dialed emergency. Click. The line went dead. The shadow moved closer. I could hear breathing now, deep, slow, and deliberate. The handle rattled slightly, like someone testing it. I screamed, and it bolted. Out the door. Gone. I called the police, and this time they came immediately. They checked the building, apartment by apartment. Nothing. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, no traces. Just me, alone, shaking. The next morning, the apartment felt different, unsafe, vulnerable. I found muddy footprints on the balcony, large, heavy. They stopped at the sliding door. No trail leading away. Just like the calls, they knew I was there. The police took photos, but again, no fingerprints, no signs of entry. They said it could have been a delivery person or a neighbor pulling a prank. I didn't believe it. A week later, I got access to one of the building lobby cameras. What I saw made my blood run cold. A tall, dark figure moved slowly down the hallway, stopping outside my apartment. They lingered there, motionless, then moved away. But it wasn't a person. Something about the way it moved was wrong. Too fluid, too deliberate. Watching. I never spent another night alone. I moved back with my parents temporarily, then finally rented a small house with Mark. But even now, years later, when I'm home alone, my phone buzzing with an unknown number makes my stomach turn. Sometimes when I'm in bed at night, I swear I hear the faint whisper of someone breathing outside my door. And every time, my mind drifts back to that night, and I remember someone, somewhere, could be watching, knowing, waiting.
I never realized how quiet my childhood home could feel without anyone else around. My parents had gone to visit my aunt in Pittsburgh for the weekend, leaving me alone in the old family house in rural Pennsylvania. At first, I loved it. The house had creaky floors, the smell of aged wood, and the faint aroma of my mom's old candles, which I lit immediately. I had intentions of enjoying a peaceful weekend, binge-watching old shows, cooking something simple, maybe catching up on reading. By the first night, the calm was comforting. I settled into the living room with a mug of tea and my laptop. The house felt cozy, but there was something unsettling about being completely alone. Every creak sounded louder. Every shadow seemed to twitch. Around 10:30 p.m., I heard it. A faint click from the basement. Click. Pause. Click. I froze. The basement light is motion activated, and my parents had mentioned the wiring was old. Maybe it was a short circuit. I told myself that. I hoped that. But my gut twisted anyway. I tried to ignore it. I made tea. I scrolled aimlessly on my laptop, but the sound persisted. A rhythmic click, click, click from the basement stairs. I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "It's just the house settling, nothing else." Then it happened. The basement light flicked on. I wasn't downstairs. I was on the living room couch, the light far below me. No one should be down there. I hadn't gone near the basement all evening. I tried calling my best friend, Jess. "Hey, just checking in," I said casually. My voice trembled despite my attempt at normalcy. "I'm alone," I added. There was a pause. Then Jess laughed. "You're overthinking it. It's an old house. You know that." I smiled weakly. "Yeah, probably." But I couldn't shake it. Something about that flickering basement light made my skin crawl. I decided to check it out. I grabbed a flashlight and a kitchen knife because that's what you do in horror movies, and crept to the basement door. My heart pounded so hard I was sure it echoed through the entire house. I reached the stairs. The light was off now. I hesitated, hand on the doorknob. The air smelled faintly of damp concrete and something else, metallic. I couldn't identify it. I turned the knob slowly, taking a step down. Click. The light flicked on behind me. I froze. No one was there. The basement was empty. Boxes stacked in corners, old furniture, spider webs in the corners. Nothing alive. Nothing moving. I shook my head. "I'm imagining things," I whispered. But the feeling didn't leave. That sense of being watched, of not being alone, lingered like a cold hand on my neck. Later that night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed up in my room, reading on my phone with the bedside lamp on. Around 1 a.m., I heard footsteps. Not upstairs, not on the main floor, but coming from the basement. I told myself it was impossible. I was alone. The basement light flicked on again. I got up, flashlight in hand, slowly descending the stairs. Halfway down, I saw it. A shadow moving across the floor, just at the edge of the light. I gasped. The figure stopped, head tilted slightly, motionless, watching. I froze. Then the shadow darted behind an old wardrobe. My mind raced. I should run. I should scream. But I couldn't move. I stayed in the basement for what felt like hours, checking every corner, peeking behind boxes. Nothing. The light flickered intermittently, making shadows dance unnaturally. I climbed back upstairs, shaking. My phone battery was dead. I tried calling my parents, but it was late and they didn't answer. I felt trapped. Every creak, every wind gust, every rustle in the basement set me on edge. By morning, I tried to convince myself it was a nightmare, but the flashlight I had left on the counter downstairs was gone. Not misplaced. Gone. That night, around 11 p.m., the basement light flicked on again. I couldn't resist. I grabbed a broom this time, hoping it would be enough if something happened. I slowly descended the stairs. The basement smelled of dampness and decay, stronger than before. Then I heard it, a whisper, soft, almost imperceptible. "Why are you here?" I froze. My hands shook. The broom felt useless. "Who's there?" I whispered, voice barely audible. No answer. Only the shadow at the corner of the room, now more distinct. A human shape, pale without features, head tilted, watching. I ran upstairs, slammed the basement door, and locked it. I couldn't stay. I felt my body trembling uncontrollably. My phone rang around 1 a.m. Unknown number. My stomach dropped. I picked up. "You shouldn't have come down here," a whisper said. I dropped the phone. It clattered against the floor. I felt trapped, cornered, completely alone. The light flickered in the basement again. I could hear it, soft, deliberate, as if calling me. I couldn't sleep. I stayed up all night, flashlight in hand, every nerve on edge. Every shadow looked alive. Every sound echoed like someone breathing. Morning never brought relief. I cautiously descended the stairs, peeking into the basement. The light was off, boxes untouched. But the flashlight I had left downstairs, gone. I left for a coffee shop, desperate for human contact, for safety. But even there, I felt the eyes, the shadow, the whisper, the knowledge that someone or something had been in my home, watching, waiting, knowing I was alone. I never spent another weekend alone in that house. I moved temporarily with a friend and later rented a small apartment nearby, but the memory lingers. Even now, sometimes when I'm alone and a light flickers in my apartment, especially in the basement, I feel it, watching, waiting, head tilted, silent, and I know one thing: the house still remembers me. And maybe, somewhere in the shadows, so does the thing in the basement.